Hi, welcome. We will start in about a minute. Oh, and it's great to see where everybody. Thank you for writing in the chat where you're viewing from. You can continue doing. Nice to see people from all over. Okay, I think that we're going to start if that's okay with everybody, and I know other people will be joining. I want to welcome you to Sefaria 101. I'm Rachel Buckman. I'm Sefaria's Senior Learning and Support Coordinator. I saw from the comments that some of you I have had the privilege of being in communication with through writing on the to the hello emails. Um, we've created a source sheet to go along with the session, which we're going to put in the chat that you can access whenever you want. But we also will be sending it when we send out the recording that goes with this. It'll also have a link to the sheet so you can get it there. Just a couple announcements before we start. If you have questions during the course of the webinar, please write them in the chat. We're going to take scheduled breaks during the webinar, and Olivia, who's working with me today, will ask some of the questions. And those who are interested, if you still have questions, I'm happy to stay on after to make sure that all of your questions are answered. So welcome again. Today's webinar assumes a basic level of comfort with technology. So if you feel that I'm going too fast or that you can't keep up with it, what I recommend is that you just sit back and watch, and you'll get a recording later on, and then you can watch it at your own speed and review it again. Um, when you're working on your own, we have a help center with help sheets that provide additional assistance, and the link to the help sheets is on the sheet that we're sending out. And you also can ask questions anytime with via emails to hello@sefaria.org, and we try to get back to you within 24 hours. So again, I'm Rachel Buckman, and with me today is Olivia Gerber. She is Sefaria's Marketing and Communications Project Manager, and she's going to be helping us. And there she is. Um, so she'll be answering some questions on the chat, and she'll also be uh, asking them live so that we all can hear them and benefit from all the questions. So just to introduce Sefaria is that we're building an extensive library of Jewish texts and the tools to go with it. The library currently contains 3,300 books with 340 million words and 3.5 million intertextual links. 750,000 learners use Sefaria's websites and apps per month, which is a number that keeps rising. And in fact, in October, we reached almost 900,000 learners. So you're in good company. We want to make sure that all 750,000 of you know how to use the site well and learn all of its features. So another last point of introduction is I want to note that although we will mention the source sheets, this is not a webinar talking about creating source sheets. That's a whole thing in and of itself. Um, and also that I'm going to be talking about the website. I'm going to be showing you the website. Most of what I talk about is also available on the apps. If there's something that really sticks out to me that it's not, I'll let you know. In today's webinar, we're going to be answering three main questions. How do I find a text? How do I learn about the text? And how do I go deeper into the text? So let's start with our first question. And we're going to share the screen so that the rest of the time you'll just be watching the screen. I made the cursor nice and big, so I hope everybody can see it. And we're going to first talk about how do I find a text. So sometimes I'm looking for a text that I know exactly what I want. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking for. So we're going to go right away to 4 quick ways to find your text. So the first example is for when I know exactly what text I want. So let's say that I want to open to Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, Mishnah 1, chapter 1, Mishnah 1, and I want to get to it really quickly. So the fastest way to do that is in the search bar in the top right. So there's always a search bar on the top, and I can click Pirkei Avot, um, and you'll see in the drop-down menu, it shows me that we certainly have that. Pirkei Avot, I want 1:1. I press enter, and I'm there. So that is certainly the quickest way. There are other things that I can do with that search bar. I also can, let's say I think of Pirkei Avot as ethics of the fathers. I can do ethics of the fathers, and if I did 1:1 and press enter, I'd go to the same place. I also can type in Hebrew. So if my keyboard has Hebrew, as mine does, I can type Pirkei Avot, and I can do Aleph, Aleph, and press enter, and it's going to go to it also. And if I want to type in Hebrew, but I don't have a Hebrew keyboard, if you look to the right of the search bar, there's a little keyboard icon. And if I click on it, it gives me a Hebrew keyboard, and I can just click my way through to type something in Hebrew. So again, the best, fastest, when I know exactly the citation that I want, I type it Hebrew, English, transliteration, with this little keyboard thing, however I want, and I go to it. So that's the first one. The next way I can go to a text is on the top. Here you see we have the Sefaria logo, then we have texts, topics, community, and donate. We'll talk about all of those tonight. If I go to text, text gives me the home page for the library, and it's all by category. So I can browse the library by category, and we have a little explanation of what's included in that category. And here we have all of our categories. So I can click on the category to go to my text. So let's say I would like to go to Breshit Rabbah, which is one of our newly translated books of Midrash Rabbah. So that's in Midrash. So I click Midrash, and we have it divided by different types of Midrash. You don't even need to know which one. I'm just looking for Midrash Rabbah, and there it is. And now I want Breshit Rabbah, and I click on it. So here I can see that it's in the Midrash category. I can navigate it different ways. I can go anywhere I want in the table of contents, so I can find my place that way. I also, you'll see that it says continue reading. This means that I have already sometime opened this book. I can go back to my last spot that I was at. If I click continue reading, if you've never opened the book, it will say start reading. So if I click continue reading, there I am. That's where I was the last time that I opened Breshit Rabbah. So that's the second way that I can find a text is through the text tab and going through the categories until I find the book that I'm interested in. The third way is using our learning schedule section. So many people learn on a regular basis different things. There's certain learning schedules. One that we don't really think of often as a learning schedule, but it is the weekly Torah portion. So we always have the weekly Torah portion here with a link, and I can click on it. It will take me right to the Torah portion. Now, sometimes I know some of the people on this call are in Israel, and some are not in Israel. And every once in a while, we get off schedule. So your computer knows where you are and it will give you the proper Torah reading. Right now, we're all in the same place. That makes it easy. I click on it, and here I am right there at the beginning of the Torah reading. So that is on the text page, but it's in the learning schedules. We also have the Haftorah. We have Daf Yomi, if that's what you're studying. And then really small, and I know it's small, and I know it's gray, but it's here. We have the all learning schedules. I click on that, and I go to all the different learning schedules that we have. And you'll notice we have 929, which is 5 chapters of Tanakh a week. We have daily Mishnah, which is 2 Mishnahs a day. We have daily Rambam, 3 chapters of daily Rambam, all of these. And so this is a quick way, if you are following a certain learning schedule, it's a quick way to get to the text that you're learning. So that's number 3. Number 4 is what happens if I want to open a text, but I actually don't even know what the text is. So this is where our topics come in. So this is the second tab, topics. And we have all kinds of categories of topics. And I can either do it by clicking through, just as we clicked through categories before, or if I know my topic, I can click it in the search bar. I can put, let's say, we're going to use Hanukkah a lot today as our example since it's coming up and it's Rosh Chodesh. So I'm going to put in Hanukkah. I actually can spell it really many, many ways. Um, and I have the drop down menu, and anything that's preceded by a hashtag is what we call a topic page. So here's the Hanukkah topic page, which we're going to talk more in depth in a little bit after our first break. But but here we have the topic page, which introduces me to a whole lot of text that I might not have even known, like where do I find texts about Hanukkah? And it could introduce me to texts that I've never even heard of before. And so this is a really exciting way to widen what it is that we're learning instead of always looking at the same texts to expand. So you can always do it that way by typing it in. You can also do it, as I said, by clicking through the topics. For instance, if I want texts on um, whatever, let's say marriage, I can go to a marriage topic page and it will give me all kinds of texts. Also, um, I can, if I have something in particular or if I want to browse, I can go to all topics A to Z and then I can click on whatever I want. And I can see that there are just a gazillion topics. Some of them are more complete and some less, but that is another way. The last thing I want to show you before we take our first break is also trending topics. So I might be wondering, what are people looking at this time of the year? So here we can see that it's the Torah portion. Actually, when I checked this earlier today, it was Parshat Chaye Sarah, and then also Toldot was trending. I think Toldot got bumped by prayer. Prayer is now trending. And here we have the characters that are in those Torah portions. But I would imagine in a few weeks, we're going to start seeing Hanukkah trends, topics that are trending. So that's also a good way to see what's going on. So again, to review the four ways, I'm typing the citation in the search bar. The second way is I'm going through the text homepage. The third way is I'm using the learning schedules. And the fourth way is I'm using the topics. So um, I'd like to stop here and see if anybody has any questions, if Olivia has collected any questions on how to find a text. We'll be going deeper in a bit.
No questions yet on how to find a text, but we welcome you throwing them in the chat and we can answer them here. We have one about does topics work better than search? If you search a vote, it doesn't give PK a vote.
Okay, so I think topics is different than search. So I think that as we're going to talk about topic pages next, and you'll see how it's different. A search is good if you want. Well, first of all, you can search for a topic, so that's good. But when you use the search to go to just like I want to open a certain text, you know which text you're looking for. And when you're using topics, you're really sort of asking for suggestions of more texts. So I think they're different. So and your spelling of Pirkei Avot, yeah, so that one didn't make it. But we do have a lot of different spellings. But I guess yeah, not everyone. But if you put it in and you see as you start typing, there'll be a drop down menu and it'll show you how we spell it, and you can just click on that. So I forgot what the spelling that you had, but oh
Key.
wait. So what was it? So it's
yeah,
P.
Pirkey.
Yeah, but see, by the time I got to K, it dropped down for me.
Mm-hmm.
So and it fills it in for me. So then you don't have to continue with a variant spelling. So hopefully it'll give you what you want. And here is, as you can see, this is, if it has a book icon, that means it's going to take you to the book. I could just click that. It'll take me to the table of contents for Pirkei Avot, or I could put in exactly what I want. And if it's a hashtag, it's going to take me to talking about Pirkei Avot. So it's a really different thing. So and you'll figure it out as you use it of what you want to use and when.
Lovely. We have another question. Do we have any advice on how to use text versus source sheets on a given topic?
Sure. So texts are going to be passages from books in the library, and sheets are sheets that people have created. So, different people are looking for different kinds of things. And again, I would play around with it, see what you're looking for. And we'll talk about it when we get to the next section where we'll look a little bit at sheets and a little bit at topics. Um, but sources means that it's something that's from the library itself, from those 3,300 books that we have in the library.
Lovely. We have a few other questions coming in, but they're all things that we're very soon going to go over. So we'll hold
Great.
those, I'll bookmark them, and if for some reason we don't get to them, I'll bring them back.
Great. So let's go back to a topic page. I'm going to go back to the Hanukkah topic page so that we can look at it a little more carefully and see what it is that we're going to find there. So this is actually we're working on a new project, and that is to curate some topic pages. So originally, topic pages were created algorithmically, which meant that the sources were coming from how often they were used in people's source sheets and also an encyclopedia. And so sometimes we had, and any of you who have worked with this have noticed that maybe you have something that seems unrelated, and it was there because for different reasons, and we wanted to give you a better selection of text, a wider selection of text. We wanted to give you some context for the text. So we've started a big project of curating sheets. We've sort of started with the holidays, although we also have Shabbat, we have some other topics. And we started, I think, on Passover. And so now we're working through Hanukkah. So this is one I'd love to show off. Some of you have not seen this, our new curated Hanukkah sheets. So all of them start pretty much with just a description of the topic. And then in the sources, the curation is only in the sources, not in the sheets. So here they all have a title. They have a little introduction, a 2-sentence introduction that is telling you a little bit like why this text is important or what it brings to you, and also depending on the text, what the text is. So if you look at this one, it gives you a little framing of the text, and then it also tells you it's written by Rambam. It's a 12th century legal code, the Mishnah Torah, and it gives you a little something. We want to give you only a little something because we really, really want you to not just depend on what we say about it, but to actually get into the text itself. So what you can do is you can do a couple things here. You can skim through and sort of see what we've put together. You can, if you want to open it now, you could. You just click on it, and there you have the text in full, and then you can read it yourself. You also can, let's say you're going through and you want to just hold on to it for later, you can bookmark it. So this is the bookmark icon, and you bookmark it like that. And now that source is bookmarked for you. You could come back to it later. Where you find your bookmarks is over here next to the search bar. You have a pile of bookmarks. That's the icon. That means that's all of your bookmarks. We'll look at that a little later. So that's text, and now we have one. This is from the Sidur. This is Al Hanisim, and about publicizing the miracle. And this is from the Talmud. But you'll notice that these are more varied. These ones are Talmud sources. Here's something from the Torah, which it's not really about Hanukkah because Hanukkah happened after the Torah, but it's about the menorah that was in the temple. And here we have more Talmud, and here we have the Book of Maccabees. So you can keep going, and eventually you'll get to the bottom of the curated part. You'll know that when you don't have the introductions anymore. And then we have a whole lot of text for you. But here, this part, this is the way they looked before. So you still can have those. You have a couple choices. If you're looking at a curated sheet, you might not want to do all of this, but if you click filter, so first they default to by relevance, and then second is chronological. If I click chronological, I'm not going to have that curated part because it's going to list the sources chronologically, which is fine. You might want to do that. Sometimes if you want to watch the development of something, you could do it chronological. You also have a second search bar. So let's say I'm only interested in the Talmud sources. So I can search Talmud, and now I have only the Talmud sources. But then I can delete that, and now I have everything again. So that's another thing that you can do. Secondly, you have sheets, and someone asked about sheets, so now I'm going to show you a little bit. Sheets are created. I know some of them are even created by some of the people that are on this call because I recognize some names. Um, so you have the name of a sheet. Sometimes you have a summary, which is really nice if people write a summary so that you know a little bit about what it's about and you can decide if you want to open it or not, and you can see who wrote the sheet. So let's look at this first one. This is a person who writes often and has very wonderful sheets. And you can see that there's some background, there's an article, there's there's here you can add images. Um, you can have texts, all kinds of things. And so this is a different type of material that you can find in the Sefaria library. And that is user created sheets. You can also bookmark these, so you can save those so you can find them later. You can also filter these. They default to relevance. You can do it by newest sheets. Sometimes I like to do that. The newer sheets are more likely to have a summary, so, because we require that now when you make a sheet. So that's really helpful to know a little bit about the sheet. And also here too, you can put a second search title. So let's say I want Hanukkah and menorah. So I can type that, and now I have sheets that are about Hanukkah and the menorah. So there's a lot you can do to help you get to the material that you want to see. Um, let's let's go back. I'll go back to Hanukkah. Um, and yeah, also I wanted to point out the related topics. So on the side, there are related topics. So these are topics related to Hanukkah. I can click on one of those and I will go to the topic sheet for that. So Hasmoneans, this is also one of our new sheets, that our new pages that's curated. So we have Hasmoneans and we have all kinds of texts about the Maccabees, the Hasmoneans. So you can keep going. I mean, you could just keep going and going, finding more and more material, more text, more sheets, um, lots of things to do. Um, a topic sheet can also be an author. So I could type here Rashi. So the quill means that it's an author page. And if I click on an author page, it's very similar to a topic page. I have a little bit about him. And then I also have all the works that he wrote that we have on Sefaria with links. So if I want to go right to it, I can click on it. We also have information on the side and links to get more information. And uh, so that's another part. So I'd like to stop now for topic questions. So I went very quickly there.
Yes, we welcome any further questions about topics. We did have some questions about language related to search, so I'll share this one. If I'm in the English page, does search only give me text in English?
Well, let's go see. I should have known I was getting this question because I knew. Um, okay, so let's say I'm on the English page and I want to do a search for. Well, what type of a search are you doing? You mean so these all of these are coming up on the topic page are coming up Hebrew and English. If you're on the Hebrew page, you can switch to the Hebrew page, and then it's going to be different. But if you're on the English page, like these are coming up in both Hebrew and English. And then when you open them up, then you can choose how you want to view them.
Lovely.
I don't
And
know if that helped.
we have a couple questions about filtering for languages to see what texts are available in different languages.
Yeah, so we're going to get to that, but I can jump a little bit ahead because I want to show you on the home page. We have this is rather new. So here we have this is one way you can know what's in Hebrew or English or any other language. So, like for instance, if I want to know what's in English, which is a very long list, and these are complete translations. There could be pieces of translation. So I click on that. We have the Jewish text in English. And I click on it. So we have, of course, we have the whole Tanakh, but I could just jump to any one of these. Here are our commentaries that we have totally in English. Mishnah, we have all in English. Talmud, we have all in English. Uh, but like in the halakha section, we have certain things we have in English. And so here you can see this is less crazy when you go to a language that has fewer, for instance, in Spanish. So in Spanish, you only get Genesis in English, and you only get certain books we don't have as much. We hope to be able to fill out in more languages. But I'm going to show you a little bit later on, like in the next section, I'm going to show you how you can not open up things and then find out that they don't have English if you need English. So we'll talk about changing translations. That's that's the next thing.
Great. I think we're
We're ready for it?
yeah, let's do it.
Great. Okay. So now that I know how to find a text, how do I learn about that text that I'm reading? And how do I manipulate it to meet my needs? So there's a lot that this is the cool thing about being digitized as opposed to, you buy a book, that's the book. Here, you have so many choices of how you want to view things, which make it really great. So I'm going to go back to that Hanukkah page because I want to show you what happens when, let's say, I meet a source because I went to a topics page. I found something that maybe I never would have found on my own. And in fact, this text is kind of fun. Here's a text about a dreidel, and it's Sichot Haran. So I'm going to open it up, and now here I am, and I don't know anything about this. I never heard of Sichot Haran. So, like, I want to know, you should always want to know what it is that you're reading. So, first thing I have up here in the header, I have the name of it and the chapter, what I'm reading. And in the small print is where the translation comes from. So, in some cases, that's very important, some cases, not so much. This is the key to the whole thing. And every time I do a webinar, there's always people who've used Sefaria a lot and didn't know this. So this is really important. If I click anywhere on the text, I open the resource panel on the side. And this is where all the goodies are. This is where all of the things, everything else was just presenting you with the text, which is pretty wonderful in and of itself. But all the value added is here. So if I click on the top about this text, I now see there's the name of the text. It's in the section of Chassidut. So now I know it's a Hasidic work. It gives me the name of the author. If I click on it, I will go to the author's author page, which I'm not going to do right now. And it tells me a little bit about what the book is and when it was written. It tells me about the version that I'm seeing. Here it tells me about the translation that I'm seeing. So it was translated by Ari Kaplan. It also tells me, this is a question we get a lot in Hello, about if I want to use it and copyrights and license. This is all in the about the text section. It gives me the license. Now there's a way of creating licenses. It's called Creative Commons. And if you, these are all linked. So if I were to click on it, it would take me to their website. It would explain to me exactly what CC by NC means. This means I have to give attribution and it's for non-commercial use only. But if I were to go to their website by clicking on the link, it would explain it all to me. And then I would know exactly how I can use this translation. So this is only for the translation. So this one actually doesn't have the license. That's unusual. Usually the Hebrew will have a different license. In this case, these are very old, so they don't have a copyright. Mostly the Hebrew is mostly in the public domain. Where we have the issues is with the translations because, as you can see, this one was done in 1973, so it's still under copyright. But they have the publisher has given us permission to use this with the CC by NC license. And so if you're using it in your work, um, then that's how you would look into it. This is also a little unusual, but we have it some places where we have a link to the publisher if you wanted to buy the book, actually, a book. This has nothing to do with Safari. It takes you out of Sefaria, but we have a few places where if you see something that you like and you want to buy it, you can go right to the publisher's link. So this is also if you want to download a text. People often ask about how you do that. It's not necessarily the best way to be. It's in case you're using it for other purposes. You select the version, you select the format, and then when you do both of those things, it turns blue and you can download it. But that's all in the about the text um, thing. Now, another part of, because I said that you can manipulate the text in many ways to suit how you prefer to view things, that's in the A Aleph button. This is a really important button that puts a lot of choices in your hands. It's really nice. So I click on the A Aleph button. In this case, I have a choice. It always will have an A for English only, A Aleph for bilingual, Aleph for Hebrew only. Now, there is only if we have a translation. So if we don't have an English translation and you click this A button a lot, nothing's going to happen. And if you think your button is not working, it's not that it's not working, it's just that we don't have an English translation. But if we have one, you can choose how you'd like to view it. So to show you that, if I want to view it just in English, since we do have English, I can do that. If I'm in bilingual, I could choose even how I want to lay it out. So the way we have it here is what we call stacked. We have Hebrew and then English. But if I want it side by side, and you'll see you can do it both ways, I'm going to just do one. I can have Hebrew on the left, English on the right, or I can flip it. Both of those choices are mine in the layout for a bilingual text. I also can make the font size bigger. Now, I could just make the font size bigger by doing this on my computer and just make it bigger, but you can see what happens. It takes me, it moves it outside of the margins. So if I use the A Aleph button and make it bigger this way, it reformats it, so it keeps it all within, so that I can read it nicely. So that's the way, if you want to make the text bigger, you want to do that. Also, I can have it with vowels or without vowels. Um, this is more of a case if in Tanakh, in the Torah, because there are even more choices there. So I want to show you the A Aleph button there. Besides the language, the bilingual, the font size, I have a choice of viewing it with the aliyot or without. So I have the aliyot on, so it took me to the beginning of the parsha. But if I scroll down, it will indicate where the aliyah breaks are. If I don't want that, I can turn that off. And in the vocalization, I have it here where it's just the letters with the vowels, but I also could have it with the trope, with the cantillation. Some people, if they don't use the cantillation, they find it distracting, you could turn it off. You also could have it just the letters without any vowels or cantillation. So this is on every single text that we have in the library. You can always do that personalizing there. I mentioned the bookmark. So I'm going to bookmark. If you bookmark with the resource panel closed, it will bookmark the entire chapter. If I do it with the resource panel open and I bookmark, it will bookmark just that verse. So let's say I want to bookmark that verse. You can see it says save Genesis 26:6. So I confirm, yep, that's what I want. And I click on the bookmark. And then if I go to my bookmark thing now, I will see it. And of course, right now it didn't show up. Okay, let's try that again. And it didn't do it because I'm doing it in front of all of you. So let's try it again. Sometimes because I'm on something else like StreamYard, which we're using to stream this. So sometimes that gets in. Oh, but look at it. Okay, let's try it one more time. Not sure it's going to work. It didn't, but it will. And if it doesn't, you write me at hello@sefaria.org and we'll work it out. It wouldn't be a live webinar if we didn't have one of those. So I feel much, much better that we got that out of the way. Okay, I'm going to go back to Tanakh, and I want to talk about translations. Actually, this is good. This is the table of contents. And in the table of contents, I can navigate by chapter. I also can navigate by Torah portion and even by aliyah. So if I want to open to the third aliyah in Toldot, I click there, and there I am. You also have that option in the resource panel under table of contents. So you have the chapters and then you have the Torah portions. Also, if you're someplace you open up to something and you want to know what parsha I'm in, you can go to the table of contents and you'll see it because it'll be lit up. See how that 3 is dark. So we have that. And then we have many translations. For Tanakh, we have the most translations. So you can click on translations, and we see the one that we're looking at now, which is the Contemporary Torah. We also see it up on the top. So you always know what translation you have. If I want to change to a different translation, let's say I would like the Everett Fox translation, I click Select Translation. And now you can see it changed on the top, and now I have a different translation. Whatever translation I chose for one book of the Torah will stay for all the books of the Torah until I change it again. So I don't have to change since every book is a different file. Usually you would have to do things, each one is separate, but we put all of um, the Torah together and the rest of Tanakh together so that you don't have to do that. You can pick your preferred translation and it should stick all the time. Here's something if I want to compare between translations. So let's say here I'm looking at Everett Fox's translation, and now I want to see what the Koren Jerusalem Bible does. I click on the name of the text, and there I have that. I can go back, and now I want to compare it with the Contemporary Torah. Notice I'm clicking on not select translation. I'm clicking on the name of the translation. And now I have that one, and I can go to the Koren, and over here I have the Everett Fox. And so I can compare how different translators translate a text, which I find pretty interesting. One more thing about translations, this is more for the non-English translations. If I go to my profile settings, which we'll talk about later, and I go to my account settings, I can choose my preferred translation language. Mostly it's going to go to English, but let's say I'm a German speaker. I can click Deutsch, and then if we have a German translation, it will preference that. It'll give me the English if I don't have a German. But so that's for somebody who's a French, a Spanish, or a German speaker. Everybody else, you're going to just leave it in English, and then it's going to give you English. So that was a ton of information, and I'm going to take a break. And I imagine there are some questions.
Yes. Would it be possible for you to show how one can hear the Torah being chanted?
Yes, yes, I can. Coming up next, but we can jump right to it. So let's go back to this Parsha. In the resource panel, I'll show you two things that I was going to show you a little bit. I'll show them now. First is Torah readings. So I click on Torah readings. You can only do one verse at a time. So this comes from Pocket Torah, and that's the way it's set up. And I don't have it set up that you can listen to it, but if I click on it, you'll hear it's 9 seconds. Somebody is chanting that verse of the Torah. And all of the Torah is like that. The other very, very cool thing is manuscripts. We have images from the Leningrad Codex, which is one of the earliest, if not the earliest, complete or almost complete biblical manuscript from 1008 CE. It is in Leningrad. Not too many people get to see it. And here it is. So you can see, where was it? I think it's here. Here we go. Here's the beginning of the Parsha, the Ve'ela Toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. And so and it's in color, which I think the other ones that have been out there are in black and white. So we have every page of that. We also have manuscripts, several manuscripts of Talmud. So if you're in Talmud, you can look on the side and click manuscripts, and you can see that as well. And I forgot offhand which ones we have, but you can go and look, open the Talmud, look on the side under manuscripts, and you can see that.
Beautiful. And I believe you're going to share a little bit more about accessing commentary, right?
Oh, yeah, that whole thing, that's next.
That's what I figured. So we'll save that for then. I think we're good for now.
Okay, so now we found a text. We learned about the text. We know what it is. We manipulated it to how we want it. We have it the size we want. We have the language we want. We have side by side, next to each other, or up and down, and all those kinds of things. So now it's time to go deep into the text. So that is where the next section comes from. I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch the translation back, and in Everett Fox translation, you have these articles in the beginning, which are really, really nice, but that's not a usual view. So I want to go to something that's more typical of what you're going to see. So let's go back to this translation. So now you see we have all the related texts, and we have, let's see, okay, so we're going to do it here. So in the related texts, we have in all of our categories, we have every text that, all the commentaries on the text, every place that that text is quoted, every place that that discusses the text, and you can just go to them with a click of your mouse. And this is the thing that's most amazing, because you could sit in the library with all of these books and not necessarily know how to open them up, how to find what you need to find. And here they're all connected digitally. So let's start with commentary. So I want to point out the EN next to it means that there's English. It doesn't mean that they're all English, it means there's some English. So in this case, the connection in halakha is not translated. So if you're only interested in English translation, I wouldn't even bother clicking on it. Same thing with the 5 Kabbalah sources. Those are not translated. But here we have all the commentaries. So the first 4 on always in the list are Rashi, Ibn Ezra, Ramban, and Sforno. And we have complete translations of all 4 of those commentaries. You also notice that we have a little blurb about the commentator. So there, because we have so many, and certainly you're going to run into somebody that you're not exactly sure who that person is, and you can read about them. You'll see next to them, so these 4 have some English, and then we have a whole bunch that are not translated, because not everything is translated yet. We are working on that. But here you can skim through and you can open the ones that are translated. So let's look at Rashi. So what happens when I click on it is I open the text, but it's not in full. This is the preview. And I know it's the preview because I only have the choice of all English or all Hebrew. I don't have the bilingual choice. It's just the preview. So I can look through. I have 2 choices. I can open it in full. I can also just add it to a sheet, which I told you we're not talking about sheets, but okay. A difference with the app is that the app, you can only open one commentary or one panel at a time. And I'm going to show you now on the website, you can open many. So we're going to open this. And these are side by side. And the website, in the app, it would be on the bottom. And now you can tell it's in full because I have an A Aleph button. So here too, I can decide how I want to view it. And I have the text here in Hebrew and in English. And I can click on this again. This is only a website. I can click on this text and I can open another resource panel. Now I have information about this text. So this is about the Rashi. I have connections that the Rashi commentary has. So we have super commentaries, which is a commentary on a commentary. And I open that, and some of them are, here we have one that has an English translation. I could open that to hear what Sifrei Chachamim says about the Rashi that is talking about this verse in Breshit. Another thing that I can do is I can, so in this comment by Rashi, he references a midrash. He actually doesn't give you the source of it, but our computers can pick that up. And I click on midrash, and now I can see, and it's in English, midrash Tanchuma, and now I can read the midrash that Rashi is quoting. Here it is in preview, and I can open it in full. And now I have 3 full panels open: the original Torah text, the Rashi, and the midrash that Rashi quotes. So you can keep going and going on this as far as you want to go, as far as your screen will allow you to go. And this is one way to learn more and more about the text. So so we have all of that and all these other here we have Talmud. We have 2 places where this verse is quoted in the Talmud. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing in the commentary section. So you'll notice it's a little subtle, so I hope you can see it on the screen. But you notice that this commentary that I'm circling is gray and not black. So that is because this commentary didn't write anything on this verse. But we want you to know that we have that commentary. If we didn't have it here at all, you would think like maybe we missed that one. So no, that is in our commentary section, but there's no comment on that. The other numbers in parentheses are how many comments the person has made on that verse. So I'm going to go to a different verse. I'm going to go to this verse. So here again, you can see Rashi had 5 things to say. Ibn Ezra only 1. Ramban had nothing to say on this verse. Sforno had 2. So that also is interesting sometimes to see the verses that bring up a lot of commentary and the ones that are less. So that's what the lighter ones are. It just means that they had nothing to say on this one. So besides the commentaries and all of the connected texts, if I go down further, I have some other things. So I have sheets. So there are 229 public sheets that Sefaria learners have created that include this verse. So I can click on them and I can see what they are. These are in order of, I think, in order of how many views. And I can scroll down and see things. And when I was scrolling to look for this, wait, am I on the wrong verse? No, I'm on the right verse. Um, Maybe I passed it. I saw that actually I had made a sheet that I was going to show you. And yet, oh, that's interesting. I don't see it. So we're going to open somebody else's sheet. So I don't know. Let's open this one. Okay, so it opens to where that verse is. Actually, I just went past that, but it opens to not the top of the sheet, but where that verse is. So now I go to the top of the sheet, and this is a very, very long sheet. Wow. Uh, okay, so it's the story of the 4 children. So this one, it'd be interesting to see what he used here. I think he's probably talking about individual children and different traits because Esav and Yaakov had different traits. But anyway, this is what a sheet looks like. That's one sheet that I could show you, and you could go through and look at sheet after sheet and decide what interests you. So that's another place to dig deeper into a text. Another one is web pages, which you can see there's even more of the web pages. This is a little complicated how we get that, but through something that we call the linker that links people's websites to our library, we also reach out to them. So we have all of these different organizations that you can access their articles that include this verse. So if I go to, for instance, My Jewish Learning, which is a very nice website that is a really good beginner website, yeah, but also for more experienced learners, they have some very nice articles. I can click on this article. I go to their website, and I can go through and read their article. And somewhere here, they have quoted this verse. Here it is, right here. And as you can see, they're linked to Sefaria. If I click on it, you can see Sefaria, and that's for all of their texts. So if you're ever reading their articles, and then here they have a quote from the Talmud, and maybe you want to see the whole quote. There, you can just go there. So this is another way you can read an article from there. Another one that is Rabbi Sachs's website links to Sefaria, and you can open any of the articles that Rabbi Sachs had put on his website. So actually, that's a different parsha, but he must have quoted something from this parsha as well. They have a recording. They also have links to Sefaria, and this is also a great way if you want to read something that's really more edited. Then perhaps not all of our source sheets are as developed as people's published blogs on websites. So that's another place to find text, to go deeper into the text. Another way to find material that you might be interested in is the community page, which is up on the top. click community. And here we have curated some sheets that we think might be interesting for this time of the for this date in the calendar. So we always have something from the parsha, depending on what's going on in the year. We have something since today is Rosh Chodesh. We have a Rosh Chodesh sheet that, and these always have a summary so you can read about them. And we always have some Talmud sheet. So that's a nice place also that you can find something that you'd like to study. Um, and also, yeah, so our highlighted sheets, we also have a link to collections, which is organizations that have created collections of sheets. That's another nice way to look for, like, for instance, if I wanted to, I'm going to use my search on my computer and do Hanukkah. And so I'm going to see, I'll show you a very nice collection. This is a very beautiful collection that was done. It's called The Introduction to Kabbalistic Thought on Hanukkah. And then you can see these sheets that are really very nice sheets. So I hope I left you with some questions.
Well, I think I may have covered this one, but if you want to talk about this more,
Sure.
is it possible to find sheets created by a particular person?
Great. Perfect. Yes. You can also search in the search bar. I think you put Art Green. Um, so he might not have. So there's two things you can do here. So these ones, the ones that either have like a picture of a person or actually the person, these are all Sefaria users who have public sheets. So I don't think that Art Green does, but I think that there are sheets that maybe mention him. So I could do a search like this, and now I see that there's 220 sheets that actually um, he didn't create them. Actually, the American Jewish World Service staff quotes him a lot and uses a lot of his stuff. So you can see that, or this one's from Hebrew College, different people. So, but yes, in general, you can put somebody down who, I don't know, somebody who I know. I could put Sarah Wolkenfeld, who's our chief learning officer. So I can click on her name, and then I'm going to go to her profile page, and it's going to list all of her sheets. And then if you're there, you also can search. Maybe I just want her um, Hanukkah sheets. So she just has this one. These are only the public sheets. A person could have lots and lots of sheets that they didn't choose to make public. These are their public sheets.
Fabulous. I'm wondering if you can speak a little to this one. Do we have any German texts? Or I guess maybe a more general question is, how would we find German text from a specific time period?
Time frames may be harder, but I'm so glad that you have somebody who's going to appreciate. We have many English learners who are frustrated because we have Samson Raphael Hirsch only in German, and we do not have it translated yet into English. So finding by time period is going to be harder. Finding a German text, you can find this way by clicking on the language and German, and you can find where do we have? Yeah, Rav Hirsch on Torah, and we have it. Really, I get so many frustrated emails about, like, don't we have English of this? We don't. So you are the
It
lucky
sounds like
one.
this person wants there to not
I
be.
know. I'm so excited
So,
to have found you because I'm so excited to say, look, we have this for you. So, and that is actually in your time period as well. So, yeah. So I think I would look, since you're looking for German texts. Oh, you want things that oh, they don't have to be in German. They could be just German. Yeah, we
yeah, that's a good
don't have a way
question.
to,
No, it
yeah, we
says
don't
in
have a,
German.
okay.
In so
Because
you
some people might want a text like that was written in Germany and in a certain time period, and we actually don't have a search for that right now. Something to work on.
Okay, well, it sounds like we answered that one. Um, any other questions? Feel free to throw them in the chat.
Okay, but I have a few, since we have 4 more minutes before we go over. I have a couple more things I want to show you
I
on
will
the
let
site.
you
I
let
want
you
to show you, this is sort of new. We always had the help center in the profile page. We've now made it much easier to find when you need help. Again, you can write to hello@sefaria.org. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. But you also could try to find the answer yourself by clicking on the question mark, which is our help center, and we have a whole variety of sheets. We've written a little bit about what's in all of them, so that that could help you. We talked about the profile button. Why would you want to have this? Is if you have an account, you want all. You can do most everything without having an account, but if you have an account, you can create source sheets. That's something that you cannot do without an account. You also cannot do it on the app. That must be done on the website. You can track your learning with our Torah tracker. You can save texts and sheets. You can view your reading history. You can take notes, which we didn't talk about, but you can find that in the help part. And this is also where you find your sheets. Sometimes people make sheets and then they can't find them. You find them in your profile page. And it's going to load because it took a little bit. You have your account settings here, so you can make all kinds of changes. You can change the language. You can change the whole website to Hebrew, and you also can log out there. I want to just highlight a little bit our last button on the top, which is the donate button. We are a nonprofit. We rely on the support of foundations and individual donors. We have many options. We have one-time donations. We have monthly, which we call our sustainers. We have day sponsors. You can sponsor a day of Torah learning. I'm not sure if today, yeah, today we don't have one, but your dedication would go right up on the top. It's very nice. You can another thing, and this is great for the Hanukkah season. We have a shop where you can buy all kinds of fun Sefaria swag, and this, of course, all helps support Sefaria. There's a lot of fun stuff here, so you can. I got to it from the bottom of the I went to the bottom of the homepage and it says shop. You'll probably get some emails about it as well. You can sign up for our newsletter down here, which is really great. You'll get all kinds of updates in the newsletter. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, blog, Instagram, all kinds of good stuff down here if you want to see who we are, learn a little bit more about us. It's all at the bottom. And I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. I'm so glad that you spent an hour with us to learn about Sefaria. If there are questions, follow up, things you'd like to know more about, things you're interested in us providing for you, learning about, just send us emails. And we'd love to hear from all of our Sefaria learners. So thank you.
I'll just stay on for one more minute to see if anybody has any final questions. And I will throw the sheet that Rachel created into the chat. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks, Olivia. And thanks for everybody for joining us. Good night.